All right, so we've seen the pressure come up a bit more.
Yeah, so, I have to go look to see if a Hurricane Hunter plane just went in there recently. I suspect they went in and measured it, and that's why before that it was estimated, and now we've actually measured it. So coming up is great. Coming up means generally weaker. There's less energy in the storm. The lower that number, the more overall energy is in the storm. The winds are still ferocious. When you think about it, this seems great. Only 150 miles per hour. Well, if it was on the way up, if it jumped to 150 miles per hour, our minds would be blown, right? Because it's just because this has been such an exceptional event. And Betty, like you said, it's just like creeping.
It is stationary, and the rain bands from it swinging over in our direction. And with that, we've already got sort of the breezes picking up, but the winds could gust even more within some of those bands. So don't get caught off guard by that as we feel those rain bands associated with Dorian. And then as it gets closer on its approach, some of those winds with the bands might get a little stronger.
Yeah, in the upper levels of the atmosphere, the winds are stronger, right? You have all the friction with the earth. So you have all these winds really blowing, they're ripping in the upper levels of the atmosphere. And then when you get one of these red dots here, that's a thunderstorm that's pulling those winds down to the surface. That's why they are especially gusty, although it's pretty gusty out there.
It is.
Pretty gusty. All right, so here's that close-up radar we were looking at. Here's Freeport over here. The unfortunate thing is that the water is being driven into there. I drew a terrible arrow there. The water is being driven in to this kind of natural bay here and in the western Bahamas. And on this side, same kind of thing. The water is being pushed up into this curve in the coast, and it's just sitting there. So the storm surge is going to be horrible on both of these coasts. And I don't know, can you see that moving?
I really cannot. It's just meandering, really.
Right. It's more reforming, it looks like, than going anywhere. Anyway, the models forecast this extremely well, and they forecast it to begin to move on out.
Yeah, and by Tuesday, more movement places it farther and farther away from us.
Right, but here it is mid-evening this evening, so 6 hours or more from now, they're forecasting it to begin that slow movement to the west-northwest. On up farther north, that was a little stutter step there, but you see that the National Hurricane Center is keeping it a very strong storm, not too far from the Florida coast, and they're kind of on high alert up there.
They are, and then even farther up the coast, they're on alert too, because, of course, the uncertainty with how far to the left side of the cone will Dorian track. And it is forecast to be a Category 2 as it goes up near the Carolinas.
And we just went through this, right? A few days out, you really don't have a good feel for, is it going to come here or is it going to come here? And boy, it makes a tremendous difference because it's moving this way up there. Okay, one more thing just to show you here is all the alerts going up the coast, just to confirm for you that the concerns to the north. So why don't we start at the bottom here, Betty?
All right, so we've got the Tropical Storm Watch. You've heard us talking about this over and over again, so you, I'm sure, know by now we are forecasting the possibility of tropical storm force winds for Broward County. So that would be 40-mile-per-hour winds, or maybe even a little over that, with the winds peaking later tonight into early tomorrow.
Right, and especially the gusts. Then we get a little farther north and we get the warning, a little more certainty of the tropical storm force winds. Remember, the yellow here shows the tropical storm force winds, and then hurricane warnings up here where you have to expect hurricane conditions. So here we go. Watch it move forward. Here come the hurricane winds toward the coast. Look at that. Just kind of raking the coast, and then we get up, and because it's farther in the future, hurricane watch on the first coast up here, up toward Jacksonville and up toward the Georgia line. Look how close, though, the hurricane winds in their absolute forecast. So obviously, tiny little difference, and we can't predict that so exactly. And then and then just confirming it with the models. Here you see the two models. Well, notice the European is a little behind, and the European seems to want to take the storm over to the west end of the Bahamas and then north, but that doesn't seem to be what's happening, but we'll see. And then going north, just same track. So that's why there's confidence in this track. It's just a matter of timing. So unusually confident tracks.